There was a woman on the airplane who she had just had a baby, and she had like a diaper bag that wasn't not to say like the best, but it didn't have enough space for all the things that she needed. Okay. And the person behind her, it was like how to develop a diaper bag for women with enough space, with enough availability that was still high fashion, that was still like fashionable. And it took a while, but then wound up creating it. So the first Birkin came from how can we help people. I love that.
From Filed and Polished, the first luxury nail care service that is exclusive and affordable, I'm your host, T. Davis, and this is On the Top Coat, the show where we talk and just do nails. Today's guest has been soaring through the social media charts, amassing a following like no other. Influencer, I can say that right?
Sure.
Okay, influencer. Artist, woman extraordinaire, the one, the only, Ashley T. How you doing today?
I am good. I'm all right. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited. This is so new and different, and so I can't wait to see what we're going to talk about today.
I mean, well, I thank you for coming. Appreciate you. How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm all right.
You all right?
I'm excited to see what you have. I'm looking at these colors, and I can't wait to see what you're gonna bring to life. Okay, all right. So we're gonna get to it.
So first things first. Art. Mm-hmm. Art is important to you, right? Would you say so?
Yeah.
Okay. Art is important to you. Why is it important to you?
I think so myself, I'm the oldest of 5 children. And I grew up very poor. We grew up in like a 1-bedroom apartment. Okay. So there was not many things that I could do or have that was like a stress relief or for myself. So my father used to draw cartoons, and so I decided like at an early age I would just find myself, like my parents found me doodling all of the time. Okay. Yeah, and then when I was in kindergarten, my art teacher, Miss Fuchs, she saved one of my paintings, and she told my parents that they should actually take it seriously.
Invest in your art.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hence me meeting you later on.
Right.
Go into art and design.
True.
So yeah, then after a while, it's like when you go to school for something, it becomes like a job or a chore. It's no longer for love or for passion or stress relief. So it wasn't really until the pandemic that I even started painting again. So after graduating high school, I wasn't actively drawing or painting, actually.
So you kind of got your full of it.
It wasn't even I wasn't doing it anymore for what I initially started doing it for. It wasn't like, it didn't feel like stress relief anymore. It was like, now I'm in a school where they're teaching you how to do it correctly, instead of like from the place of me just doing it because I wanted to. Okay. And so then after graduating school, it was like, oh, I'm okay, life's fine. I got me a little job. I got me a little money. Right. I don't need to draw.
Circumstances change.
Yeah. I'm not stressed anymore. I don't need to do this. Okay. And then the pandemic happened, and now we're all in the house. Okay. I'm like, I guess I could draw. Okay. And then during the pandemic, my mom actually moved out, so it was just me and my siblings. Okay. All over again in the house by ourselves, and we all just went back to finding our hobbies. My brother started working with like music artists to develop their portfolio. My sister started doing storytelling through art, and like for artists, giving them the chance to like, they can tell her what their artwork is about, and she would write their not their like their
excerpts.
Yeah, their excerpts for them, for galleries and for the biographies and for their website. So from then, it kind of kicked off again.
So you would say it was your outlet from your circumstance.
Yeah.
Okay. When your circumstance changed, was that the initial start of the break from art, or was it the fact that you went to school for it and then it forced you to take a break?
Yeah, I think it was school, because even after graduating high school, I went to Parsons for a little bit, and
shout out to Parsons.
Right, the new school.
Right.
And that just doubled down on technique and critique, and it was like, oh, this is not what I signed up for.
Okay.
Like I remember there was like this one small thing where you had to like draw a watermelon.
Okay.
And the whole thing about art is that it's open to interpretation. I always say that someone can't be a bad artist, because that is the whole thing with art.
Right.
There's people who we think they're bad artists, and the whole time that's their signature. Like that's what someone's paying 1.2 million for, and you're like, what? That's just a triangle, or that's just like, you know, you're like, or that's just like smushed banana, like you know. So art has always been open for anyone to be able to do, because it is your interpretation of what you see. That's what art is. So then when you go to school for it and they're teaching you technique, sometimes it can take away from your interpretation of reality, or how you see things, or how you are putting what you see to reality. And that's how like the famous artists that we see, Picasso, his mental health helped him create his signature that we know and we love today. Right. So imagine he went to a school for it, and they're like, oh, you know, you can't, because Cubism didn't exist before he created it.
It didn't.
So if he went to school for it, and they're like, oh no, this is not how the technique is to draw. He might have said either forget this whole thing, or he would leave the school.
Right, he'd worked at the post office.
Exactly. Okay, I got well, not him, but
right.
But even like anyone that we look at, Leonardo DiCaprio. There's so many people where their most famous pieces are like original or distorted, and it's because it's your outlet on how you see reality. So schools sometimes, because they want to make sure that you know how to, like the original formation of it, can take away from that.
So let me ask you this. So what I'm hearing is, I think you're on the auspices of there isn't a correct way to be an artist.
No. And literally, if you're saying to yourself, like, oh, I wish I could draw, you can draw. Right. If you can draw a circle, that means you can draw a grape. If you can draw a circle, you can draw an orange. So everyone can draw. Okay. And everyone can get better at drawing or painting. It's something. It's one of those things that if you do it enough, you will automatically get better. I'm sure when you first started doing nails or gelics, it's not the same as what you're doing.
That was horrible. that was pretty bad. For real.
Yeah, but what we do is we look at someone else doing it, and someone's going to be watching or looking at your page and saying like, oh man, like I wish I could do nails as well as him, or I wish I could do designs as well as so-and-so. And really, if you're just consistent at it, you can. And art is one of those things as well.
Well, I mean, they could try.
They ain't you though, right?
Nah, it's the unreachable level right here, unfortunately. No, but I do agree. I do think that oftentimes the discipline of art takes away from its freedom of expression, in which that leads to people to go into the tundra, right? So they'll kind of stray away from it, and not really being able to embrace the abstractness of whatever it is that they're creating, right? Because everybody interprets art different. I think that's the biggest thing. But I do think sometimes schools do forget that part. Right. They forget the part of I'm expressing it this way. Yes, I understand the guidelines and all this, but this is how I express it. I do think I agree with you. I do agree.
Yeah. And it is important to know, but just for myself, it was just like, I can do other things. I'm ready to start working and doing other things, and then I started with the whole fashion and stuff. So it was just like, I'm ready to kind of like close this chapter and venture out to see what else the world has to offer.
So speaking of that, fashion, you are a bit of a fashion connoisseur yourself. Would you consider yourself a fashion connoisseur, or would you just consider yourself a person that just appreciates fashion?
It really just depends, because if you bump into me any other day besides like a planned day, I like homeless. Right. Okay. Okay. I say all the time, like my coworkers wouldn't even know that I have real clothes. Like I look like laundry day pretty much every day. Okay. But I do have some items that I can put together here and there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm picking up what you putting down. I see what you're doing. Okay. I see what you did just there. Okay. Okay, cool. So, favorite fashion design?
In the past, my favorite fashion designer used to be okay. So I like origin stories. So I like the origin story of Ralph Lauren. I like the origin story of Birkin.
Okay. Okay.
So shout Ralph Lauren.
The Birkin.
Sponsor the brand. So again, not
sponsor the brand.
Yes.
Birkin sponsor. Sponsor the brand. Here at Filed and Polished, we care. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Birkin, they started off, it was on an airplane.
Literally? Seriously?
So, yes, there was a woman on the airplane who, she had just had a baby, and she had like a diaper bag that wasn't, not to say like the best, but it didn't have enough space for all the things that she needed. Okay. And the person behind her, it was like how to develop a diaper bag for women with enough space, with enough availability that was still high fashion, that was still like fashionable. And it took a while, but they wound up creating it. So the first Birkin came from how can we help people. I love that.
That's all.
And then
$1 billion company came from how to make more space for diapers.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And eventually, sometimes that gets lost, but like to what it looks like today, and everybody making sure they have a Birkin and stuff like that. But the origin of it is actually quite beautiful. And then Ralph Lauren, his poor from Brooklyn, and really
Ralph Lauren's from Brooklyn.
I feel like his family was like a poor Jewish person from Brooklyn. I remember his original name right now, but like he changed his name and he really made himself into who he pictured he would be. Right. And so if that's not like super New York, if that's not very inspiring, forget like the controversy of it all. But in terms of just him himself deciding like this isn't all that I'm made for, and I'm going to, and then even like with me, my name being Ashley, but like my brand and stuff always being Ellie Sheen and whatnot.
Shout out to Ellie. That's fire. Shout outs to Ellie Sheen.
That it's like you always the cards that you were initially dealt are not the end all be all. Right. So
the hand you're dealt is not the hand you in the game with. Yeah. Okay. So Ellie Sheen, how did that come about? How did that come about?
Okay. So I am so I am related to the Wayans family.
Hold on. You're related to who?
Yes. So I am related to the Wayans family. And by the end of high school, I was just pretty like annoyed with the questions of it all, like even down to the dentist. So like just everywhere. So I was like, okay, what can I kind of do to separate myself from my name? Whereas like, if it's social media, like Facebook or because Instagram had came out. When I came out with Ellie Sheen, Instagram was now out, and it was like weirdos DMing me like, "Are you?"
So he was doing this for a while.
Yeah, Ellie Sheen, yeah, it was yeah, I probably was like 19 when I switched everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
This was a minute ago.
Yeah.
10 years plus.
Right, yeah.
And I know you all this time, you couldn't get me a role in the Wayans Brothers or something, reboot, nothing. How you just saying you plug me in. You listen, you look like you got potential. Put me in. Okay, all right, my bad. Okay.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
My bad.
Right.
So,
It's cool.
So I kind of just wanted to be able to like separate socials from people that I actually know. And so Ellie Sheen kind of came from that.
Okay. Is that a lot of pressure on you though? Like being related to the Wayans? Like,
no, because it's nothing that like affects my day to day. It just is. It happens to be a fun fact. Like it happens to be a fun fact. It happens to be like something that's true, but it's not something that would like affect me directly outside of the you really like okay. So, yeah, outside of that, it's not something that affects my day.
So I see what you do. They be like, so who are you? And then you be like, do you really want to know?
No, I don't typically.
Like, do you really want to know who I am? I got this whole bottom. Do you know? Do you really know what? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, Ellie Sheen really came from that place, and then eventually it was like it wound up just being something that was jiggy, and it caught on. People were like, "Who's that? Where's that from?"
Right.
But we're also doing it. Like I get called L, I get called Sheen. Like people really took it and ran with it, and I said, "Okay, cool." And it wasn't until I did an art show last year, and people were they couldn't find me again on social media, and it was like, okay, I might have to actually switch back to Ashley on my socials and stuff like that. But outside of that, Ellie Sheen had a good little run. So
let me ask you this: so for Ellie Sheen, right? What was the eureka moment? What was like the moment where you was like, yo,
this is the name?
Yeah, like this is it.
It was probably like 2 a.m. You know, it was those 2 a.m.
Right.
It was probably like 2 a.m. I was watching 2.5 Men, Charlie Sheen. There really wasn't much thought to put into this. Charlie Sheen was the actor on 2.5 Men. And then Ellie didn't really come from, like, now I can't really tell you what that came from, but I put it together. I put it out. I think there was something else before Ellie Sheen. Like there was a different name and then Sheen.
Okay.
But then stuck with it and from there. But there really was no big taha behind it, like no big eureka. It was just 2 a.m. in the morning. I was watching 2.5 Men. I had already knew that I wanted to change my socials to like something else.
Because you got tired of people stalking you.
They weren't stalking me. It's just that like people, and that's why I was saying yes when you asked earlier. There's a difference between a fan base and supporters. Right. Supporters is like about someone individually. They're supporting. Like they could be supporting your journey. They could be supporting your talent. They could be a support system is a different thing than a fan base. So their fan base might just do like a general search and like search Wayans, and then follow every person who has that name. A supporter is not necessarily gonna do that. You know what's so funny? Now I remember. It makes sense now. Because your last name was not T, it is definitely Wayne. Oh, it's okay. That's what's so crazy because I'm like, all through high school, I'm like, they see, yo, Waynes, what's up, Waynes? I'm like, makes sense now. Okay. So, you never wanted to get into like acting or anything like that? No. Okay. Let me know if it gets too hot. What is this? Gel. Okay. Yeah. And this is like a individual UV? Oh. Yeah, real deal. Holyfield. Yeah. This ain't for play. All right? Never wanted to get into acting? No. I always wanted to, always something where I didn't have to talk too much and be talked too much. Okay. That was always where I was like, that's where you could find me. Again, going back to art, where it was just like something that I could just listen to music, kind of be off to the side, out the way.
Okay, yeah. So it was your like you said, your escape. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's switch gears for a second. Mm-hmm. What's your favorite R&B genre, or your favorite music genre, rather? Excuse me.
I'm I think the category on on Pandora is called alternative indie. But that would be like okay. Have you heard of Baby Rose?
I have not. Shout out to Baby Rose. Whatever that is.
Yes,
I've never heard.
Baby Rose. I love you, girl.
Okay,
let me think. Somebody like I'm trying to think of somebody who like crossed over to a mainstream song. I like a lot of instruments, but not jazz.
Wait. Okay. Just rewind up for a second. You said you like instruments,
but not jazz. It's still like, dang, it's not as slow as like Adele's music, but okay. Think of like some of Willow's songs.
Willow Smith?
Yes, but without her singing. Hold on.
Willow's. Okay. Yes. Okay. I whip my head back and forth. That's
no, not Child Willow. Not Willow Smith. Willow.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. She's still making music? I didn't know that. Shout out to Willow Smith though. Shout out to the whole Smith. I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't know.
From what I know, she's more of like the rock lane, right?
Yeah.
In terms of genre. So if you ain't on it, you wouldn't be on it. But yeah, she makes music. It wasn't just Jaden out here, because he do more hip hop and such, so you might hear him a little bit more, but she do have her own lane.
Yes.
So she's a rock artist, that's what you would say?
You know what I'm saying?
But it's not like heavy, it's not hardcore rock.
Soft rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dang, I can think of somebody else.
Okay.
Just give me
It's like punk rock, bro.
Huh?
Punk rock.
Yeah, but
okay.
She has a whole swag, it's
yeah, like it still has flow. It's not like just rock. Like
it's not aggressive.
It's not like what you're thinking, like emo rock. It's not like it's not aggressive at all.
It's not aggressive.
No, it has flow. It has like
she used instruments. That's why you think rock. No, serious. Like
I didn't know. I didn't know what it. Yeah. Okay. So rock is
I'm gonna think of somebody else.
Like he's not a music dude.
Okay.
Music people, man. Like certain people, they be like, yeah, Solange dropped it, and it's dope, and it's like
okay, Solange.
You don't know about that.
Yeah.
That's why
I like
like SZA would be like the mainstream that we don't really listen, but it's like so many fans kind of.
Do you like SZA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you listen on him. Okay.
Mr. TK, what's your problem with SZA?
I didn't say I had a problem.
You're being put on the spot.
I didn't say I had a problem with SZA. SZA's music is exceptional. It's great.
Well, so what's your favorite genre? Or what is your preferred? Okay, but like, so what's the reason that you're saying she's not R&B?
Who? Not R&B? SZA?
Yeah.
She is R&B.
SZA's not R&B. Solange not R&B. And Willow isn't R&B.
Are these words that you have said?
I didn't say that. I said I like SZA.
I am curious what category you put her in terms of like the Grammys and such.
SZA?
I feel like it is R&B though.
Is it not contemporary
because
R&B?
She's black and she's a black female. That's why.
And so what would you put her in?
Dang, what is it going? I don't know.
What would you put Tyler the Creator in? That's how it's like. It's called some sort of. What would you put Tyler the Creator in?
Tyler the Creator, but he could. He got
He has a unique lane.
No,
I think
his music fit a lot of genres, so you could definitely throw him in rap as well. It's not just rap.
Okay.
But it's a lot of genres, but it can definitely be.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he start off as a rapper?
Who?
Tyler the Creator?
Okay. I mean, he always rapped.
Yeah,
he just always had a unique flow.
He always rapped, but then once people started just brushing him off as just a rapper, is when he started like taking it up a notch. Like, oh no, I'm an artist. Let me show you guys that I could really do whatever. That's what I'm liking about Doja.
He's abstract.
Yeah.
Okay, now I see. Okay, See, I had to put it together, you know.
With the whole polos and all that.
Yes.
That's his, what's the brand? Golf.
Shout out to Tyler, the creator.
Yes.
Shout out to Tyler, the creator. So I have this debate with Cory all the time. I personally think he's a hater, but you know, I didn't want to believe it until I had to think about it.
Okay.
You mentioned Solange earlier. Do you like her sister at all? You don't like her sister at all?
I just know you don't think I'm gonna come over here in yellow and black and talk about.
Oh, so you are. So you do like Beyonce.
And talk about Beyonce on Beyonce's internet. Isn't that where you gonna post this on Beyonce's internet?
I don't. Is that a thing? Beyonce's internet is the thing.
Beyonce internet.
Tiana, help me out here.
Oh.
Okay.
I know Beyonce have her own religion.
Wait. Wait, she has
Deism.
She has her.
I know she got the beehive.
She has her own internet.
I mean, it's like a joke that people say, like when it's like, they coming on here. Why would you post that on Beyonce's internet?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you like Beyonce? Do you think Beyonce is the greatest female artist ever?
Okay. So I'm not like a diehard Beyonce fan. Like I've never been to one of her like shows. I don't know all her songs by heart. That's not where I am. However, I won't deny artistry and talent.
Okay.
We can't say that she can't sing.
That was a thing at a point in time, and then people were proven wrong.
Question. At what time?
But you feel like at some point she couldn't sing?
Well, no.
I
always thought she could sing. The consensus was, I think, what was happening was her prestige was just so much above everybody else that they tried to use that as something to knock her for. Oh yeah, she really can't sing, and then it's like she did that at a James, you know, and it was I mean, people were proven wrong.
My thing with that is compared to who then? Because why would certain vocals be acceptable for a slew of other artists, but then randomly Beyonce is given a hard time?
Well, you know what? It's because of this. When you have an artist that just are so many levels above everybody else, the rules change.
Right, which is not Beyonce's fault or problem.
No, it's not her fault. And I don't hold it against her. Like
okay.
This is me. To me. And I love everybody out there. I love everybody out there. Shout outs to the Mary J. Bliges, shout outs to Alicia Keys, shout outs to the Whitney Houstons of the world. I mean, it's only one Whitney Houston.
3 different classes singers.
But Beyonce is the greatest female artist to ever walk the earth. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Would you say Beyonce is the greatest singer of all the vocals you've heard from female artists? No, right? No. And
we can say no because Whitney Houston existed once upon a time. But
Beyonce is top 5 female vocalist though.
Yes, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Would you say any one of them looked better than Beyonce? No. No. They did not.
That is debatable.
No.
But Beyonce is the beautiful lady.
No. They didn't. Did they look better than her? No. They didn't. You wouldn't say, and listen, recipes with Houston, recipes all in, but you can't say in Whitney Houston heyday she looked better than Beyonce. Beyonce's heyday. No. She was beautiful, but are you gonna say she looked better than Beyonce in her heyday? No. No, she did not.
Yeah.
No. Now, for all those performance freaks out there, oh yeah, but does she really got performance? She's a better performing artist than Janet Jackson. It's not even close.
I will say, I feel like
it's not even close. Right. And if you really want to go there, Beyonce sings better than Janet Jackson. Let's just be clear.
Well, yeah. Well, Janet. Agree. Janet has melodies. Yeah. So
I mean, and not for nothing, if you take Jackson from the end of her name, I don't think she would be as impactful. But that's another conversation neither here nor there. So she's top 5 vocalist. She's top 5 appearance wise. Performance, she's probably the greatest. And not to mention she has more Grammys than all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, even if somebody beats Beyonce in one category, they don't beat her in the other three.
Right, yeah. True.
Accolades, they don't win. Looks, they don't win.
Except for country music.
Performance, they don't. Even if you want to go there, performance, they don't win. Mm-hmm. Vocals, they don't win. She covers too many categories. I just think that she separated herself.
Full range as an artist.
Yeah. Now, you got all kinds of conspiracy theories out there. Well, if this person didn't die and all that that is to be taken into account.
But right now,
it's just you can't go back. It's just what it is.
Yeah. Have you seen her live?
No, I've never seen Beyonce live. I ain't even seen her in Brooklyn though. But shout outs to Beyonce and all that. You know what I'm saying? If you ever in the Brownsville area, yeah, follow the policy.
Is that where we are?
No. No. But I do think she is like the greatest female artist. I do.
I have to be devil's advocate.
Okay.
I feel like he said that she's like the LeBron James of like female artists.
No, she's beyond that.
No, because this is what I'm saying. Now I'm saying the LeBron James. Ashley, do you know what they say about LeBron James?
In comparison to Michael Jordan?
And in comparison to the game period, like he's the greatest of all times. And then they talk about technicalities. Mm-hmm. But then when they talk about Jordan, they're like, it's a whole different...
Right, yes. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But LeBron is in debate, and in terms of accolades, he do outshine Jordan. Mm-hmm. Okay. But is he actually greater than Jordan? It's always going to be debatable.
Right.
And I feel like that's Beyonce in terms of accolades.
No, but then who?
I don't think that's the case. I don't even think. To be honest with you,
if not her, then who would you say?
It's the greatest female artist of all time. Mm-hmm. Black female artist or just female artist?
Female artist.
Yeah, female.
Oh my goodness, I don't know. The
fact, listen,
it's like it's easy to say.
Oh, I'm sorry. Y'all gonna hate me. Controversial. Are y'all ready?
Why should I say Dolly Parton?
No, right now in the world, and I think I had this debate. Beyonce runs it when it comes to female artists. She runs things, and females is just running the game. Period. Mm-hmm. Like every genre. But as of right now, in this moment, there's only one female out here who's making more money and more fame. Like, there's only one female outdoing Beyonce. And her name is Taylor Swift. Okay. Taylor Swift exists, and she can't be denied. Whether we like her or not, her consistency is real.
Okay,
which is okay, but that is not what we're talking about here. Because if you're, there's no way that you can also say that. So I get that in terms of the accolades part that we were talking about in terms of LeBron and Jordan, but at least they're equally as, the whole debate is because they're equally as talented.
Yes.
Do you feel in your heart of hearts and your ears of ears that Taylor Swift sings better than Beyonce?
Not in a million damn years. Not in this lifetime, the next lifetime. And if I was to buy another lifetime, she'd sing better than her then. No way in hell.
Oh man.
Let him.
I don't know what to say. I mean, the girl's talented. She make her own music. That's a big thing.
No.
Yeah, that's cool and all.
That's not the question here.
She hit her notes. It's cool.
That's not the question.
She hit her notes. She cool.
That is not the question here. To think of any Beyonce song, any new rendition, any live rendition, she went to Dubai and because of I can't remember why, but did whole different renditions of all of the songs all over again. And Taylor Swift is who you're putting her up against?
Taylor Swift is out here, yo.
You put her against KD.
Look, people came out to her concerts. It's crazy. She shut down cities. It's crazy.
No, all of that is true. But we're talking about greatest singer. We're talking about the actual talent, not the support, not the streams, not the income, the actual talent.
I'll say this, and I don't want to be that guy, right? I do think this though. I do think if Taylor Swift didn't have the benefit of being of a different demographic, she would be a regular artist. I'm just being honest.
A regular.
I don't know. I think she would have still got. I think she would have still gotten as big. Cause
no,
No, you got to think of like from time frame of what year she came out and like who else was out at that time. Like I think that she would have still always gotten to this point.
You want to know why? I'll throw a monkey wrench in there. Give me the greatest black country artist.
But she didn't come out country.
No, she didn't. But I'm throwing a monkey wrench in there. It's probably nobody would ever consider.
You said the greatest
black country female artist.
I don't really listen to.
You ready for it?
Who?
Corey, you ready for it?
I'm waiting. I don't know, man.
Little Nas X. Little Nas X. Literally.
No.
Okay.
Because you said of all time.
Who do you know that's a black country artist?
Yes. No. If we go on my phone, I could pull out a few. Why? Because I'm Caribbean, and one thing they do is listen to country music. I don't know where that comes from, but they take it very seriously. So no, just because two things. I think a lot of times people from inner cities, now I won't just say New York, but people from inner cities have like a standpoint on like what the world sees. Like for instance, I saw that I'm gonna come back, but I saw that Arby's but Buffalo Wild Wings for like it was like something crazy like $3 million or something like that.
They bought them?
Yeah. And everyone was like, well, where did Arby's get $3 million from? Who is buying enough Arby's for them to have that type of capital in real estate?
I see what you're saying. There is another,
but globally,
there's another
outside of inner city.
For it.
Exactly, there is people who act. So just because it might not come to the top of our minds on who's the greatest country music doesn't mean that there isn't. Doesn't mean that there isn't one. And if I really took time to think about it, or I definitely could come up with at least two.
No, because I don't like how y'all look, man. Soulja Boy is the greatest of all time because nobody ever sold as many ringtones as he did. Period.
Ringtones.
To this day, nobody sold as many ringtones as Soulja Boy. Am I correct, Mr. T. Davis? To this day, those
Soulja Boy's ringtone.
The last time I heard a ringtone.
We're not talking about the last time you heard a ringtone. We're just talking about the numbers.
When we had
Is he the man who sold the most ringtone?
The last time I heard a ringtone. You hear me? The last time I heard a ringtone.
It looks like he wants to.
I don't remember the last time.
What was the last ringtone you had?
The last ringtone was the one I got now. The
standard.
The standard. I just think I don't know who. But okay.
So I guess the question for both of you is like, because just in terms of artists and business and such. It's not strictly about, and I think this for like love and relationships and business, and it's not always about the talent and effort. It's also about the timing.
Yeah. Yes. 100%.
Okay.
100% about the timing and somewhat the team around you and like your kind of like ability to be able to push past.
Obstacle.
Yes, obstacles, but like being embarrassed. There's so many things that like there's people who their videos have gone viral, and you're like, oh, and I've thought that, or I would have done that, whatever, but you just never had like the boldness to post it and do it. And so it has to be talent mixed with a little bit of I want different so bad that I don't even care what the people around me think by me doing this. Like I'm gonna go crazy. And so like even coming back to like the misconceptions that people might initially think upon like seeing a male who does nails, right? That's not your origin story, is not why you're doing it, and quite frankly your story not your story but like your mission on why you are doing this comes from a place that people aren't going to be able to guess. So you have to still be able to have like a boldness aside from your talent, because you have talent, but you still have to have the boldness to be able to keep doing it beyond misconceptions, and then time goes into play.
So what I heard is that you just said that Chris Brown is better than Usher. That's what you just said? I heard that right? Did I hear that right, Corey?
Allegedly.
Okay.
what
That's what I heard?
I mean, it's not, it's a fair question.
Okay.
They want to know.
It's a fair question.
They want to know.
Is Chris Brown better than Usher?
So he is
because
better.
He came. Okay, so are you asking that because of when we're talking about like streams and social media?
Well, no, because Chris Brown had the benefit of coming in an era where streams wasn't a thing. Chris Brown came out in 2005. That's 20 years ago.
Yes.
Ooh, top 5.
That's 20 years ago.
I will say the game changed after
album
sales stopped hitting.
If we're being honest, he came in 2005. So I mean I thought I heard you say that. That's why I'm just asking for clarification.
Okay.
I thought I heard you say Chris Brown is better than Usher. I just want to know if that's really how you feel.
Okay. Okay, I know more Chris Brown songs than I do Usher songs.
Is it because Chris Brown has more songs?
No, I think it's just more so.
You saying his songs are better than Usher songs? I think that's what you're alluding to. Is that what you're saying right now?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay, all right. I just want to make sure. Okay.
Usher has classics.
But
yes,
I feel like I hear that. Okay.
Usher has classics. See, this is why it's tough, because at a certain point it comes down to like the individual, right? So I grew up super duper religious. We didn't have we didn't have cable. We didn't have, if you wanted entertainment, read a book.
Right.
I was at church like 3 times a week.
Okay.
So Usher, I wasn't really hearing when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Brown, if I like spent the night at someone's house, now we're talking about ringtones and stuff like that. It was typically Chris Brown because of my age, right? It wasn't really. Usher was more so like my aunt and them. Like it was considered grown folk, a little bit grown folk music. So it's like, yes, I grew to like and love some of Usher's songs a little bit later, but Chris Brown was more so
your era.
Yeah.
Okay. So you saying he is better than Usher?
Saying that Usher, I'm being blackmailed.
No,
you see, he literally has my hands hostage. Okay.
No, is okay. If you have one ticket, if you win a ticket, front row, backstage, meet and greet, everything, and they say you can only pick one, Usher or Chris Brown, what concert you going to?
I'm gonna resell the ticket.
That's the most New York answer I've heard on the show. I'm going to resell.
It's too much stress. Sounds like, but no. All right. If I had to, I would go to Chris Brown.
I think that answers.
But his Usher's concerts have been going so crazy that I'm like, dang. But I would still go to Chris Brown's. And
he's giving free pictures. I mean, well, he's giving not free pictures, but he's taking pictures
for $1,000.
Right? Huh?
For $1,000.
But you got the meet and greet pass.
But your ticket includes
You're right.
That.
He's right.
Your ticket come with that. So you're saying you going to see C Breezy?
Yeah.
And you're not going to see Usher?
No.
You're not going to see.
Well, Usher ain't giving photos.
That's true. He's giving a whole show, cherries and everything included.
I mean, well, doesn't the picture exist in your mind first? Huh? Is it the root word of imagination, image? Don't that got to be here first? You see what I'm trying to? Usher, we here. I see what you're doing. You ain't with the flashiness or I'm here.
Usher, he's gaslighting you.
Know what I'm saying?
He sat here and said that Chris Brown is better than you.
I ain't say that.
In every way he could say.
I ain't say that.
And then tried to make you believe that he did not say that.
I just asked a question.
Just rewind the footage,
okay. I will say this. Usher had the higher R&B moment. I don't think anybody at that time would have ever thought. I can't say ever would have thought. Confessions was groundbreaking.
Allegedly.
But see, it goes back to what you meant. It is sometimes about time.
Yeah,
we can't take away like culture at that time.
Yeah, his that Confessions was a heavy hitter. That's probably like one of the top 10 R&B male albums, right? Chris Brown never had that.
In terms of a full album, like
right.
album, okay.
However, he had everything else. Yeah. I mean, he did. Yeah. I mean, there isn't, and Chris Brown has been out for what, 2 decades? Mm-hmm. 2.5 decades? There isn't in any one of those eras, because the era is 10 years, so it's 2. There isn't a point at any one of those eras that Chris Brown wasn't the number 1 R&B artist, right?
But then, why does he have more accolades than Usher?
I don't know.
Because I think that's like a thing, but like he continuously doesn't get, and then like some of his projects will be like 28 to 32 songs. It's like,
yeah, he definitely set himself apart, but I do see where,
yeah, I get. Yeah.
Usher was, the Confessions was the thing. Confessions was the whole, too many days, so many, I'm still burning to you. Yeah, that was the whole thing. But Chris Brown, you turn on every news station, every commercial. I remember this. I was in middle school. I stayed home from school one day. And you remember Nick Jr.? They used to show the reruns of like Moesha and all that stuff.
Remember.
I know. I just follow me. You know what I'm saying? Just you with me. You here, right?
Okay.
Every commercial. It was a marathon, by the way. Mm-hmm. It was a Moesha marathon. They were playing Moesha from 8 a.m. to I think 4.
Okay.
Every commercial, literally, that came on between the episodes, after the episodes, was Chris Brown Forever. It was all day long. We'll be right back with another episode of Moesha.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. It was all the time. So I think he had the benefit of that. And he also, like I said, he was able to withstand the changes in music, because music changed.
Again, you now touched on timing, on commercial availability, on now sponsorship availability. It's different than it was when Usher was first coming out. It's always, the times are always going to change a little bit. The
do you think it benefits the current artist more?
Always.
Okay.
Always.
Well,
do you go ahead, go for it, Cory?
Because now we got it's a strong debate, because I feel like that's what's being said is like what's being used against like Drake, and it's something that's actually happened to Jay-Z, but people don't speak on it, which is Drake always been like one of the top artists, but they always said that he never had a classic album.
Okay.
And that's Take Care. Always, I don't know, because
that's a good argument. That Take Care was that was high school. That was
And the thing with Jay-Z is Jay-Z is probably top 5 best rappers of all time,
if not the greatest.
And then they always say, well, what era was he the top rapper though? Because there's always somebody else that was number 1 when his albums dropped.
Okay.
So that comes right back to like Chris Brown, which is like, yeah, you the man, but you never.
Right.
Do you have that classic album and such? And it's like you said.
He has so many classic songs, right?
Chris Brown, it's debatable, but we also know there was what we don't want to speak about.
No,
the big scandal that put a dark cloud over
his trajectory,
brand.
Right.
And had it not been for that, the sky would have been the limit. And he still strived despite that.
Which that's very telling, because at that time and being that publicized, I don't think a lot of artists would have been able to bounce back from that night. Like I said, I'm not no singer or nothing, but for him to be on that level and for something like that to happen, and then you see where he is now, it's kind of like, like, it always begs the question is, if that didn't happen to him, right? Keron said no. I said yes. Would Chris Brown have been better than Michael Jackson? Like, just overall clear?
No.
You don't think so?
Absolutely not. Because again, I think that it's a confusion of what we're seeing now due to
what's in front of us?
Yeah, due to time. We don't know what Michael Jackson could have been able to produce with the same techniques, the same engineering, the same new mechanics and stuff that they have now.
He is the standard, though. I will say that.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson is the standard.
So,
nobody, I think
we're talking about someone who had the ear to, he had the ear to do like a whole track of only his vocals, and it was like 7 different layering of him just doing the outline, different harmonies, different pitches, and different like breakdowns of the beat.
I remember that album. I produced it. I did. I'm gonna put that on the episode one day. Y'all just, you laughing. You think I'm lying. You see? Y'all just no faith. It's crazy. Corey, you believe me, right?
It's about the age that's throwing me off.
You believe me, right, Corey?
I believe.
Oh, okay.
Allegedly.
That's right.
Wait.
You better ride for your friend. We ride at dawn, friend. But yeah, to someone who at that time had the eye and the ear to do that.
Okay.
Would come on. He opened doors to for Chris Brown's ear to develop.
I think no. Like I said, it is something to consider, but I do think this. I think Michael Jackson open and closed doors that no one else can open anymore. I don't think you will get another artist ever that will get the most money per album sold. So for people who don't know, when Thriller came out, Thriller was selling so many records that traditionally an artist gets, I think, 75 cents an album. He was getting $2.50 per album sold. Wow. Right? And mind you, that's probably the only album to go #1 in every major country ever. Sold 40 million units or something like that. Okay. Or more. Do I think an artist will be able to do that now? Absolutely not. Do I think they'll be able to do it in the future? Absolutely not. I think, and like you said, timing is a thing. Back then, to be a celebrity really meant to be a celebrity. Like to see Michael Jackson, you had to go to a concert, turn on the TV, MTV. Mind you, that was probably the only major music, outlet syndication out there for artists. He was the creme de la creme, the denouement. That was him. To see him, watch him in concert, hear him on the radio.
Now imagine all the exposure that we have now. Yeah. TikTok, Threads, Instagram, TMZ, all of those things available at that time when he came out. He was already the most amount. So imagine all of those things. What everyone's pushing right now, these numbers that we find impressive and stuff like that, they wouldn't even come close if they had the technology at that time.
They did that with albums, like physical. People went to the store and bought these things. I think, it's like I said, it was an interesting thing. Like I said, I think Chris could have did it. But he says it himself though. He doesn't think that he's people say it to him, but he doesn't think that he's.
Yeah, he said it again recently that he stopped being offended by it because he has to understand why they're saying it it's a compliment, but it's also do you understand what it takes away really from the timing of it. Do you understand the work that people had to put in that era to be seen, to be heard, to even make that level of, we have so many things now, it's auto-tune, it's this and that. There's so many things that didn't exist at that time that people don't take to when they're listening to the songs to be I wonder what they used to create that sound. I wonder what they used or how long it took for them to mix and master it. And it kind of waters down the experience that the people before us had.
Yeah, back then when we used to be in the studio, it wasn't none of this computer stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't none of that.
It wasn't.
You really had to do your thing.
Yeah.
Yep,
you had to be talented.
Yeah, you did. Because, me, Quincy, and Mike, he didn't really like the Thriller thing. He didn't really like it. So, he just, you just had to be there.
Yeah.
I don't want to give too much about it.
No, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and friends, Trevor's here to tell you guys, the Lulu can be the Salulu. just follow your heart.
I just think I'm just telling my reality. I just think that's just what it is.
What was it you said before? In imagination, the first word is
image. Well, yeah, but if you got a picture that's signed on the back of it, it's not really make believe. But we'll talk about it. Don't worry, we'll talk about it. Yeah, but I do think you're right. Timing is everything. So let's switch gears for a second. Do you see what's happening on the internet? The whole manosphere, 50-50 relationship thing. Do you pay attention to it at all?
I'm not really. I probably go on for like 15 minutes, watch a couple of reels, and then hop off.
So the running theme is this. Women shouldn't go 50-50 in a relationship. Right. And they're saying this, for marriage, all kinds of things. You being someone who's God-fearing, right? Do you think for most people that blinds them and gets them away from God to really understand the true value in a relationship? Or do you think this is really, the thing?
So what someone can offer in a relationship?
More so what they're willing to accept, if I'm saying it the right way. Because like I said, you're someone that's God-fearing. You're someone who, God is important to you. It's a sin in your life, right? Do you think when people go into relationships, is it God that's the center of it, or is it the case of I'm not going 50-50 is the center of it?
So automatically, yes, God is gonna. Automatically, yes. My answer every time is gonna be there. God has to be in the center of all relationships, and not necessarily even being funny. Like I was saying, if I were to, I could never probably date again. Like from where I am now, without it being someone who had an intimate relationship with Christ. Okay. Before it was just like, well, I really like him, so he said he pray, y'all. He does. He said he prays. He said he gonna come to church with me one day. The things that we say or tiptoeing around that prayer, like, hey God, if this person is for me, let me,
show me a sign.
Show me a sign, rather than I like this person, so I'm not. Lord, you mind your business. Keep it cool, keep it cute, because I'm keeping this one around, and then at the end of it, like, all right, Lord, I heard you, but I like them. But so no, what I have learned recently is none of us can and will be the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We don't have it in ourselves. There's just so many things that happen outside of like not feeling well or disabilities and stuff like that. Like there's literally things in our finances and our insecurities and our just day-to-day stuff, a bad day, that reflect into the us that we are that day. Right. And the people that you're around and involved with intimately are affected by that.
Very true.
And so it's like, oh, who am I getting today, right? Right. The only person who can act as a gap on those days in between those differences would be Christ. Okay. The ability to forgive and actually forgive, and like forgiving means like letting it go and like just actually releasing and not holding on to it and not treating you like I'm holding on to it. Okay. That's not something that we're taught and can do on our own. That's something that is a gift of the Holy Spirit to be able to help us with. Compassion, to even take time to ask you, hey, why is this going on? Or see that you're not willing to talk yet, or see what's going on and say, oh, I'm out of here. He got too much dip on his tip. I'm deuces, right? To be able to have compassion towards not just your partner, but the person, to say, okay, Lord, like you literally have someone that you can go to that's not your friend, that's non-biased, who wants the best interest for not only you, but for your partner as well, that you can talk to about what's going on, and he help the situation. But oftentimes we try and take too much matters into our own hands, and it's like I could see that my partner's going through something, and it's like I want to make them feel better. I want to be the buffer on like the support, and when it doesn't work, and when you're seeing like, dang, I can't help him in this, I can't help her in this right now.
Right.
We don't know what to do, and then we pull back, or we go into a shell. We just like start tiptoeing around each other. When really we need to just be giving that to God, because He's the person who's going to be able to help both of you, whether that's giving you the wisdom or the discernment on what to say in those moments. Sometimes people just need space, and if you're trying to like force them to like talk to you today, it's selfish. You know, it's selfish, but that's what we want to do. I want to be around the person that I'm involved with. I want to make you feel better. I want, I want, right? And then so the fruits of the Spirit, kindness, compassion, love, all of those, it's hard to give on your own every day. So He has to, between your partner and yourself, God has to be the person in between that. I would wholeheartedly recommend that to anyone, whether they called themselves like a Christian or not. Just try it out.
Well, hold on. You said they call themselves a Christian. So tell me the difference between a Christian and Chris.
Good question, because some people have good question.
Tell me the difference.
No, good question. Okay, because some people can say like, well, I believe that there's a higher power, or I believe that I am just putting it out there to the universe, right? But they don't necessarily believe that they're talking to God, or they're in a place where they're just like, listen, I believe that God is real. I don't necessarily know that I have an intimate relationship with Him. I don't necessarily know that I even want to. But G-O-D now, I'm going to just try speaking to you because I don't have anything else. Actually, being the whole Christian aspect is being saved is saying, confessing. It's called like ABC, but it's accepting that you are a sinner, that we were born into sin, and believing that Jesus died on the cross for your sins, and confessing it with your own mouth that you believe this and you want Him to be a part of. That's like the actual like prayer to say that you are a Christian, right? And that is with believing in Jesus Christ. But again, there are people who go like I'm spiritual, and so they're praying, but not necessarily. So when I said that just now, I meant like to that.
So you're saying people use spirituality as a way to get away from God, not necessarily knowing that that's a way to Him.
Yeah, I think that we're all trying to find something to fill like whatever void or whatever confusion or just a bunch of things. We're all looking for something, and sometimes without all of the information, or still confused by the information that you have, you don't want to just put a title on it right away. So you're like, I don't know just yet that this is God, or I don't know that just yet that this has anything to do with Jesus Christ, so I'm just gonna say it's the universe. Like, there's been enough evidence that someone is hearing me when I'm praying, but I'm not sure who it is.
Okay.
But all in all, yes, to follow up on the second part of your question, enough of those interactions will give a chance for you to get to know Him for yourself. And like if I start just sharing like numerous, we look at the woman at the well in the Bible. She went there to go. She went there to go get water for not even her man. She was going to get it for somebody else's man.
Wait, what?
Yeah, she was going to get water from the well for somebody else's man. Okay. She had that Jezebel spirit on her bed.
See, God said, "Thou shalt not judge." Why you do that? Wow.
We listen and we don't judge. So this is the cool part, right? So Jesus came to the well, and she asked to get some water from him, and He told her about herself. He told her about her promiscuity, and that the water that she's going to get right now is not even for a man of her own, right? Imagine someone you don't know, especially in those that coming to tell you about yourself. Jesus, his goal is always to show us ourselves in him. And he gave her instruction, he gave her direction on what to do next. And when she went back to the town, she told everybody, come let me show you all a man who told me about me. Right. That's the goal. So you don't need to know all this scripture. You don't need to know. You need to start having the interactions with him, and then the rest will follow. So yes, to answer your question, the walk of spirituality will eventually walk them into a relationship with Christ.
Or it should, is what you're saying.
It should.
Okay. Because people got different gods that they worship now.
That's true.
Right.
That is true.
So you're saying when people use that should be their walk to God, as opposed to going around the corner to that corner store that you always wanted to go to. And you wasn't supposed to go there.
It's a opening for an introduction. Like, it shows that there is something in them that wants to get to know Christ.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is there ever or should there ever be an instance where a wife says to her husband, no, I'm not going to go through you to get to God. I'm just going to get to God?
So she, married or unmarried?
Married.
No, married or unmarried, she should have a relationship with Christ. Now, there is things in the scripture that speak about, like, submission to your husband, and I don't want to say like change of like hierarchy and stuff like that. That is there in the Bible as well. So if they are following like scripture, there will be a follow-up conversation. But she in herself, the thing that will make that
concrete,
not even concrete, like, not to say like go well, but even like have someone open to hearing that. Because you could get defensive immediately, like, true, I need to do what? But that comes from her relationship with Christ and her knowledge of Christ and not knowledge of the Bible.
So what I'm hearing is this. Those who don't...
I'm nervous now because the last time he heard something...
So those who don't submit to their husbands don't really worship Christ.
That's not what I said at all.
Oh, I just want to make sure.
That she needs to have, to answer your first part of your question, that she needs to have a individual relationship with Christ. She doesn't need to go through her husband to have one, to have a relationship with Christ. That is something that is literally the good news, the gospel of the Bible, that everybody who believes that Jesus Christ died for them, it was a free gift that he gave for everybody. So she doesn't need to go through her husband to be able to receive that.
So if she doesn't submit to her husband, does she really love God?
That's really the question that he would like to know here. My bad. I was like, he said, let me rephrase.
No, my bad. I'll let you get to the point. My fault.
How about this one? I will, when we go on the instrument, I will find the scripture on it and we can revisit it. Because I don't want anything that I say, I want it to be sound doctrine. That means it has to come from scripture. So is that all right with you?
What I heard just now is, it's okay to ruffle a couple fellas today.
I just want to say, he's putting purple on my nails and I hate purple. He asked me so many times if purple was okay.
See? Cory, see what you got me into? See what you do? So what I'm hearing is you don't want to ruffle nobody's feathers.
Huh?
No, that's fair. I think that's fair.
All right.
However, I do think that oftentimes when people hear the whole submission thing, it's triggering.
Because
and break it down for me, like what why would you think that would something that would be triggering? Do you think it's the image of how we see one another, or men see women, or women see men? and that whole submission thing is kind of like, what? Like, no thank you? Or is it that we just really don't know?
I think it comes from a few places, and it can vary depending on the person's prior experiences. But so the word itself, submission, sounds like you're taking away from one person's individuality, or like off the rip. When you hear it, it's like taking away from what one person might think, want, or do, for now to change it to what another person is requesting for me to want, or think, or do.
Okay.
Right? Not to cut you.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's going to be different per person, right? And so if someone has had negative experiences with that, where it was an abuse of power, where they were literally leading them,
that was a dictatorship.
Exactly,
right.
But just loosely, the word submission, when said to someone, it can come together with all of that,
right,
based off of how it was introduced to them the first time. And so even going back to parents, not just fathers, like, but both of your parents,
right,
in terms of like how they disciplined you, or how they taught you, how they grew you, that's like our first introduction to submission, because you're being grown and you're being
very true.
Yeah. And so for for some people it's that, then other people it's their relationships, then other people it's your leadership that's been around you. Before even getting into a relationship, I think my first time having to like submit would be working under someone, or even my leadership at church. Because again, going back to hierarchy. So if there is like a time where it's like, hey guys, I don't think this is going to be the best decision. Right. I don't think that this one is going to work out. And your opinion isn't like valued or being considered, etc. And then it doesn't work out. The next time that you tell me to do something that I don't think is a good idea, and I say it again, hey, I don't think that this one is going to... Eventually, I'm going to start to think that you don't know how to lead me properly. And I think that a lot of times submission comes from unsurety on how the person can lead. We, even coming down to like presidency, any place where it's like, I have to be underneath this person. I need to know that you can lead something.
Well, let me just throw a curveball at you. Does leadership always mean positive results?
No.
Okay.
No. But what in your doing caused the negative results does.
Well, that's the part I was trying to get at. Right? Because I'm a firm believer in things don't happen to you, things happen for you. Right? So I do think that sometimes we see an outcome. It may not be the one that we have liked. We automatically think the mission is a fail. In turn, that could probably been the greatest victory you needed, right? So I do think oftentimes what gets misconstrued is the outcome that I want versus the outcome that I need. And the outcome that you need may not be dressed up like the outcome you want.
And that's why I agree with you in saying no. A negative outcome, a perceived negative outcome, doesn't mean that the person involved didn't lead well. Like, you guys could have trained your best for the Olympics and still lose. That doesn't mean that coach is a bad leader. Right.
But a part of leadership does mean results.
Yes, but in more than one way.
Okay.
Like, so for instance, if going back to like how we were just talking about the Olympics, well, did everyone have the opportunity to like have the information needed to succeed, the training needed to succeed? Like, did the person in charge make sure that everything was provided to give it your best shot? Right? Can you accept feedback? Can we pivot when change comes, when obstacles come? Those type of things make people a good leader, not necessarily just the outcome or how it happened. It's some of the things that happen along the way, along the journey, on being able to like pivot and being able to hear and like explain, etc. Not just what you were saying in terms of a dictatorship, saying, no, this is the way it is and that's the way it's going to stay. and then a negative outcome, rather than being able to like hear, pivot, acknowledge, etc. Those are usually things that make it a little easier for somebody to be like, okay, cool, this person is trying to lead me the best that they can.
So what determines a good leader? It's followers?
Well, they say that the definition of someone who is a leader, it means you have to have followers, because no one has to follow you specifically.
True.
So that's already part one. But
because because I do understand your perspective, right? You know, you're not going to follow someone that keeps leading you into a ditch, right? Obviously. But we also can miscalculate and say, hey, I'm at this ditch, not knowing I'm supposed to build something from this ditch, right? So it's the things that we necessarily don't see that we don't necessarily
But right there, you just touch on something. When you realize, okay, cool, second time failure, maybe I'm not supposed to doing that, maybe I'm supposed to be building on this, etc.
Right.
Can you pivot? Can you adapt to change? Can you, or is it that every time you lead us here, we're just going to wind up in a ditch? That's like the difference between a good leadership, because you have to also be able to understand that you're not just leading yourself, you are leading other people. And so every time that you land in this ditch, other people are being harmed, not just you. And so how am I addressing that? How am I pivoting from that? And then that's what is like, because everything in life can lead to a negative. There's gonna be things, like even with my team, right, at work, I'm a manager, right?
Oh, you're a boss. Oh, it makes sense now.
I manage my people. Love y'all.
All right.
But part of that is like when I talk to them, when I have like my one-on-ones, it's not that they can't make more money. It's not that they think that in the good leadership skills that I have, I'm not saying I'm not perfect, but there's availability for them to grow. There's availability for them to hear. There's availability for them to get information, but there's also a trust that I actually want to get better as a manager and that I want what's best for them.
Intent-based leadership.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So because they trust that I have their best interest, even if things don't go well in that moment, they know that I will at least pitch it. They know I have their backs, etc. So those are the type of things that go into, and that's what will make it easier for someone to submit to someone. It's like things aren't looking good,
right?
But I'm gonna keep submitting over here. I'm gonna keep listening to their instructions because I just believe for some reason that they have my best interest. If you can't prove that you have someone's best interest, there's always going to be pushback on submission.
All right, it's tricky. I'm sorry, just to cut in, right? Two questions, right? Well, three questions.
Okay.
One is for T. Davis.
No,
right?
just two. No, I'm go ahead.
As a male, do you feel the pressure of leadership, right? The second question is, we know that leadership has expectations. But is there expectations for submission? Like, do the leaders just say, oh yeah, I gotta follow, but that's, you green light. Or do they say, look, no, there's standards for that. You know what I'm saying? So that's the second question. And the third question is, what do we say about those stories, right? With generals and soldiers. And, not all generals had major armies. Some generals had that loyal 50 soldiers or that loyal 100 soldiers. And sometimes the general would do something to make the king upset, and then you got 10,000 people chasing you, and they chasing the general and his loyal 100 soldiers. They're following the general. Clearly, the general got them in a very unique and bad situation. whether they agree with it or disagree with it, they follow the general.
Right.
What does this mean? What do something, because they're submitted to their general.
Exactly.
At this point, they can say, he's putting me and my family's life in danger. I need to jump ship because logically this don't look good. What does it say about them following this general?
But that still has to do with something about his, because same way we're saying, like, in order to be a leader, you have to have followers, because just like you said, there's always something that can happen that's going to make somebody say, you know, even there was, like, I can't, I'm going to find it, but even there was one time where Jesus told he had said something outlandish, and he told, and everyone left, because they were like, absolutely not, I'm not doing that. And he said to the disciples, are you going to leave too? And they said, but where will we go? Because they found like truth and hope and everything in him, so that's why they would stay. So again, good leadership is not just having
good outcomes.
It's not just good outcomes, but it's also it really comes down to trust in your like wisdom and your direction, and like the loyalty develops from there. I was watching, I can't remember if it was Troy or Gladiator, but one of those movies, Russell Crowe, Gladiator 1. It was Gladiator 1. After they just told him, the king was like, no, you're basically gonna serve me. And he was like, I'm really not out. I'm going home to my kids. And he told them, and he said, what kids? Like, you have no wife and you have no kid. And they're all gonna die with you tomorrow. And it was like, oh yeah. And he left. And a few people left with him, knowing that the whole of Rome was about to come to find just this one general. But he had already shown them his qualities, his characteristics, to make them say, nah, I'm still gonna ride with you till done. Like, I'm still gonna stick beside you. So if you could show that, like, your character has to reflect someone that, and and that could come with time, that could come with trust, that can come from like different things depending on the person, like what they need to see, like that makes them feel like, okay. You're at least trying. You don't have to be there yet, but I could see if he just had the right team, if he just had the right person behind him, he'll eventually get there. And like you see that a lot for women too. Like they'll say, like, anyone else could be like, well, what is it about him that you just like and she's like, I could see it. if y'all just hold on. Right. His vision is there. He just needs, because sometimes the vision is there, the qualities, the characteristics are there. And so that's what makes it like easier to submit a little bit. But your first question was to,
you said, is it to me? Do you feel the pressures of leadership?
Yes, that was well, with the Jesus story, that was he asked him to go with his riches, which is very,
yes, that was,
which is something to study, because
Well, then he said, it wasn't his riches, or he said sell everything.
Yeah, sell everything.
If
you want to follow me, because he was like, I'm doing everything perfect. If you do everything perfect and you're rich, then I'll give that up.
Yeah, he said sell everything, and he walked away crying or something.
But is that logical? Like, is that not a lot of people logically? That sounds like bad leadership.
And so exactly, and so that's what it always comes down to. Do I trust this man and that he has my best interest
enough,
or at all? Do you have my best? Because I worked hard for this,
right?
So where is this coming? Like, just where is this coming from? Why are you asking me this? But it comes down to like a level of trust. Do I trust this man, or do I trust that he has my best interest? And so then, even tying back to your first question on, do I think that but Jesus has to be in every relationship, because even if something in me is saying, I'm not too sure about where right. My husband just said that we're gonna do a 90-day missions trip and all right, and it might be a tough pill to swallow at first, but two things. One, do I trust that I have a relationship with Christ to be able to ask him and hear him confirm it for me? And then do I also believe that my partner has a relationship with Christ, that he is following the direction of what he heard from the Lord? that will make submitting so much easier, because you don't think he's just telling you to do X, Y, and Z because he can.
Right. He your husband. He said,
right. Just because
I want to see if you can fly.
Exactly. Like,
so jump out the window and then
right. It kills all the, well, where is this coming from when you know it's coming from the Lord?
Okay. I mean, no, that's
oh, yes, it is. Okay.
That's a good question. That's a good that's a sentimental response. I do think that
it doesn't make it easy though.
and that's that, and you took the words right out of my mouth. That's what I was going to get at. I think what happens is this: most people's perception of greatness doesn't come with the price of sacrifice. And unfortunately, when you don't calculate that in that greatness equation that you want, you have the greatest disappointment.
You think it's failure.
Yeah, I could just wake up tomorrow and be great. And it's just like, no.
Yeah.
It requires sacrifice. And I think that's probably one of the greatest pressures of being a leader, is that being a great leader requires great sacrifice. Because even if, like you're saying, you have to produce outcomes, even if the people you are leading, right, aren't the best of the best, aren't the top of the food chain or whatever, it's your job as a leader to get them to that point. And whether they succeed or fail, it's on you.
Yeah.
Right? So I do think that's not necessarily taken into account when you look at when most people just look at marriages as a whole. Because it's like, yeah, you a man, figure it out. And it's absolutely, one thing a man should never do is shy away from his responsibility. Right? That's what God made you for. But on the flip side of it, I do think it's important to understand how great that is, right? Because we have it in our heads to say, oh yeah, I mean, well, that's my husband. He'll figure it out because that's what he's supposed to do.
I need this job. My man got 2 jobs.
Right. Like what she said, and everybody hates Chris. Yeah. Man has 3 jobs. So, but to be that great of a leader, right? It requires great sacrifice. It requires to make the tough decisions. Yeah. Right. Not knowing that he might not eat that night. You will. The kids will. He won't. That's something he got to live with. Yeah. Right. So I do think that is important. Do I think most consider that? Absolutely not. I don't think so. Do I think we'll ever get to that point? Probably. But I think some things need to change first. I do think, like Cory said, the requirements of submission. It has a responsibility too. Just like freedom, right? Freedom has responsibility. It's not all free and clear. I could just walk outside and not get hit by a car. No, you can still get hit by a car. Right? By a bus, a garbage truck. You know what I mean? So those things are important.
It's also, but it's also, and I hear you, and I definitely see that, because on both parts, like, no one wants to, like, to your example, like, no one wants to be led to a ditch, right? And so it's like, I'm gonna pull back, I'm gonna fall back, and I'm gonna kind of trust that he got this, or I'm gonna say, listen, you have to have it. That's like the two kind of standpoints that we see. But that's not all. Put this in. Okay, that's not all that there is, and so I just hope that there's also an increase of like vision, just like how you were saying earlier about the imagination, and increase in vision. Like whether your algorithm just changes and you get to see, like I follow like this. I can't remember the name of the page, but it's only people getting engaged. It's only like Black millennials getting engaged. Right. And so even if no one around me is getting engaged, because my social media algorithms show me so much of that, it gives me a more balance of understanding, like, just because it's not happening per se around me doesn't mean that it's not happening at a large rate around a lot of other places. And even if you're looking at demographics wise, there's been a few articles, like, because now we're coming up to the wrap up of the year. So they're talking about the rates and the percentages of millennials and stuff that got married this year and whatnot, and compared to divorce rate, etc. So it is happening, and in those we're hoping that they took premarital classes, etc. There is things in place to be able to help or to be able to ask those questions before getting married, and just being like, we're here now, we're in love, but now what we do, right?
What's the next step?
What's the next step?
Right.
And being able to have those supports around you, because it isn't easy, but I would just think that before getting married, that you would work on those, because I feel like submission really has to do with trust in that person, but trust in their decision making, and trust in their decision making. And so if I don't trust your decision making as a girlfriend, why would I tie my finances with yours? Why would you tie yours with mine? Right? Yeah. But no, yeah, because love can make you do some crazy things, y'all. But no, all in all, I think that it is happening. There's a lot of marriages happening, and the divorces that we have been seeing have been people older than our generation and whatnot. Okay. But sometimes that, because it's I was trusting you. You've now shown me after 22 years that you are not making good decisions. So now I'm out. Now I'm leaving. But I held on for so many years thinking that X, Y, and Z.
So I get your point, because it's, even if he leads you to a ditch, do you trust him enough to get you out?
That's what I'm saying. And sometimes falling in that ditch gives you an opportunity to see your partner's skills in a different area. Okay, I might not have thought he was strong at communication, but wow, look at how he's strong at da-da-da-da. I'm seeing his trying, and it, going back to the fruits of spirit, it helps me. I have compassion now. I have empathy. I'm seeing that he's trying. I might be seeing you in a different light than I was as you were trying to get us to this place. Us being in this place now might show me a different you. And then the hustle, the drive is yeah, okay, cool. And then when we're ready to do it again, I got to see a different party. I got to see that drive in you. Then now I'm all right, I wasn't sure before. Now I'm with you.
I'm all in.
Now I'm all in. And so it's it's the vulnerability of what you're saying. It really just comes down to character.
Wait, hold on. I got one question.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to let T. Davis take it. There's a lot of questions I have, right? But I'm only going to go with this one, right? Okay. There is the thought process that as the girlfriend, I'm not going to do wife stuff. Okay. And it was interesting because what you said is, well, I need to see him move as a husband before he can become a husband. So does that also work vice versa? Because it's you can't just say, yo, I'm going to be a husband and a leader when I become a husband. No, you have to show those qualities. Yeah. Do it also work vice versa?
Should it work vice versa?
Yeah, so I'm gonna answer that, but I just want to clarify that that's not specifically what I meant when I said that before getting married, that I would hope that I more so meant on the trust side of things, because trust is what helps with submission. So if you can't ultimately trust someone enough as a boyfriend and girlfriend, that lack of trust doesn't disappear now just because you're married. Yeah. So that's more so what I meant, because now you've already walked yourself into something hoping that the love was going to fill the gap, when really you don't trust him. And so now when those enough interactions happen where you're that's when that pushback now comes to come, and it's well, I'm not going with you, and no, we can't, and I will not sell this house, all of those that, and he's well, where's all this coming from? But honestly, it was there when it was she just thought that
us being married would erase it. Right. And marriage isn't the ending, it's the start.
It is. And it's the start to something, a whole different thing. Now it's really just y'all. But to answer your actual question on do I think that the standards should be
the same,
set for both, standards should be there for both the male and the female. Yes, again, it is similar, but
well, really the question is should a husband and wife, like should certain qualities come out in the dating phase?
Yes.
Is there certain responsibilities, or is there like, look, there's girlfriend and there's wife and there's nothing that overlaps?
No, I don't think necessarily that, but I do think that we all know when we are taking advantage of something, right? And that's not gender, just in specific, we all know when we're taking advantage of something. And so it's one thing to be able to like know that this is someone's actual characteristic, and she's actually going to do this because that's just who she is, and he's actually going to continue to do X, Y, and Z because that's who he is as a person, like before and with and without me.
Right.
That's the type of things that you should know. But it's another thing to say like, well, I'm going to see if she could do it for 3 years consistently, then I'll know she's a wife. Huh? Like, what are we talking about? Oh, okay, yeah, she could do it like that. Now let's see if let me add this. I want to know if Tom's is really hard. If she can really stick it, and she gonna really stick it out.
So he go broke on purpose.
What?
Okay.
Like, what?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You know, so there but it is a thing, and that's what I'm saying. That shouldn't be a thing. Yes, because there's not just like, we all have different personalities, and we all have like different things that are important to us. So I do want to know that my partner is interested in the same things I'm interested. We have the same like foundation characteristics, whether that's family, etc. Like those things are important to know. But I don't. He should not like. Well, let me see if he's gonna pay my rent from now, and then I'm gonna know he's a husband. You like. That's not what I'm saying here. Okay. That's not what I'm saying. And like even like there's numerous examples that we see like all over social media and that we've experienced as well, where you're like, or you know, somebody say something, well, I don't. You're like, oh, well, you're not gonna be my wife. You're not gonna be my wife. So, and then y'all just keep on dating for a couple of months until the summer, till the sun starts shining, and then you know you part your ways, right? You part ways, but you're like, okay, and you know in your heart, like, this is not something that's gonna be taken seriously. So yeah, you should know that you guys have the same things that you want out of a marriage and the qualities that would make your marriage go forward, but don't abuse those things once you know that person could do it without actually wanting to get married.
The expectation should be set forth by both parties.
Yeah, because how will they know?
No, true.
And both parties have to be able to have the chance to say, I wasn't thinking about doing that, but I might because of that, or like, can you explain to me why that's important to you? Right. And then from there, like, you know, X, Y, and Z, because just because something is new to this new relationship compared to your past relationships doesn't mean that you're not open to trying it. It's just that your last relationships didn't ask for it. Yeah, they just didn't have it. It's not a bad thing, but now you're dating someone new, and so it's like, okay, at least let me know, and I'll decide if, okay, I see why that's important to you. It's not hard for me to do. Yeah, I'll do it.
Speaking of letting me know, I have a philosophical question that I'm surprised nobody asked this. This is just it's funny to me. You know, I just, you know, but
are these like wet? Can I get lip gloss?
Just speaking of that, you know, I just want to know, do you like your nails? I'm surprised nobody asked that question. That's just it's so funny. I just thought that, you know, See,
I don't even have lip gloss in my pockets. Hold on. What do y'all think? You gotta hold something. Hold on.
She said you gotta hold something. Okay. So you like them? Okay. He not a fraud.
He's not a fraud.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to know, you know, I just.
It's not AI.
Oh, it's not AI. It's not AI. You know, I will say this. We appreciate you. No, for real. Your perspectives were very rich. Because you speak from a different perspective. You speak from a different place. I do think that more of our people should be open to that perspective. That perspective of understanding, because, you know, you won't journey far in life without it. And like you said, give grace, right? You have to give that grace. Speaking of grace, give your viewers some grace of what you got coming up, if you care to share.
Sure, but one thing I just want to this is all like new. Not necessarily like all of my standpoints are new, but like even in terms of how I view relationships, how I view marriage, that has only been in over like development over this past year of me like just actually moving to Yonkers, being up there without like a lot of my friends and stuff like that, and it just being me and God just locked in. And I was in a relationship for a little bit, and like this would be my first time dating someone who also was in a relationship with Christ, and seeing that being important, and like the commonality, the foundation not being style or art or things in common, but strictly God. It was literally a different experience. And so this is so like, it's like not to say like, because I was definitely somebody who was just like, I'm not very trusting. So for me, it's easier for me to like observe you first and kind of like see who you are as a being without me giving you any help. Like I don't like art because I like art. It's so lazy. Like, okay, oh yeah, I want to take you out. Let me take you to
the MoMA.
Baby, I've been to the MoMA. I could go to the MoMA. No offense, nobody. No offense, but it's like, you know, I live all the way in Yonkers, and you're like, oh yeah, because let's go to First Sunday at Brooklyn Museum. Like you saying anything now? You're just saying anything, but. You know, like actually, you know, it already being the interest of yours or something like that. Like, so I've always been like that. And then before I decide like, okay, I'll actually like take heed to this person or like listen to anything that anyone has to say, it's because I've already kind of like observed you and like in your own space. So this was like the first time me dating someone that I didn't know in advance. Like we met and it was like, okay. So that being the baseline, that really just changed a lot of my viewpoints. So yeah, I don't want anyone to feel like, oh well, she just has had the best experiences.
Well, they're gonna feel like that regardless, though. You can't control what people think. They gonna.
Okay. It's I'm happy you cleared that up.
Yeah.
I a lot of things that you were saying, right? It was a lot of like faith based.
Yeah.
And you know, people says, yeah, I agree with her, but it's hard.
Yeah.
Because logically things have to make sense. He has to look a certain way. She has to look a certain way. She has to behave a certain way. He has to behave a certain way.
It's so much.
Our finances got to be right. Everything has to be perfect. You can believe what you want to believe, but yo, your money got to be right.
No, yeah, those are solids. Yeah,
everything got to be solid. You know what? I could get with. You know, look, if you want to, you know, if that's what you believe, that's cool. We don't have. If we like each other, it's going to be figured out. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we put a lot of faith in ourselves, and we don't understand. Well, there's a lot of ego behind it. As if we can control ourselves, and as if we can handle how we evolve and change as people.
Right.
We believe that, you know,
we can
something goes wrong, it's the other person's fault.
Yeah. We think we can negotiate.
And that we didn't grow or change ourselves.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's, oh yeah, I don't like what that person did. That person made a mistake. I don't have to give them grace. And it's funny because sometimes we'll flip it and say, well, I done changed and grew. Why didn't they change and grow? And there's always going to be something if there isn't, as you would say, that foundation. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, so it's interesting for you to say, yo, I've been in these kind of situations and now I'm in this situation. And there's a big difference.
Because I was in a place for a little bit where I wasn't like, everyone will say like, dang, you still single? But in my heart of hearts, like being that you shared that, it was like, I didn't necessarily trust myself to make the best decisions for me. Right. And so it was like, I call myself like putting in work to like grow Ashley and what's important to her, and then I turn around and date someone that doesn't match that, and it was like, okay, so it's not them at a certain point. It has to be how I see myself or the things that I actually like want, like, or it still is you, girl. Like, it still is you, right? But it's easy to then say, well, I'm out of this because they're not doing blah, 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 blah. When it's like, nah, Ash, like, you did have a part to play in that. And so because of that, it just caused me to, like, just say, like, okay, now just fall back, just watch, and let, like, see people's actually behalf. But I love what he said.
It's more self-reflective.
Yeah, it became self-reflective, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like, listen, I'm reflecting on it. We appreciate you. What you got for your what can your peoples expect from you moving forward? Something brand new, never heard of, or even if you want to share. Suspense is everything. But if you want to share, give them a tidbit.
I have probably 2 factor caps coming up.
Okay.
Okay. I have a hat collab coming up.
Gucci. All right. Okay, cool. Right.
I know you said something brand new, but I have Bible study every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on Zoom. Okay. And
if you're trying to get your life right, tune in. All right.
It really is for beginner Christians. Like we go over definitions of words, because sometimes when you like just become a believer and you're like, oh, I want to start reading the Bible, and on that first page you're like, what does this word mean?
You don't know how to read.
And so you're like, I'm gonna stop. Okay. I'm gonna stop. Sure. Either I'm gonna stop, or it's just like you keep on trying, but you don't feel like the connection to the words, and you're like, okay, this book is basically Harry Potter, and I'm not gonna keep on doing this, right? So it's really for beginners to be able to like ask questions on, I was reading so and so chapter and these words came. Like, we literally take time to like break down words and speak about like who different people are. If you're like going through a certain thing, we'll find scripture that is going through that, or people will share what scripture has gotten through that thing. So it's for beginner Christians, and it's for people who are just curious about Jesus. Like, it's like something, I feel like something's drawing me to him, but I haven't had like a positive interaction with him because of like church, or because like my grandmother died and I'm still mad and I didn't know him then, so I'm still just trying to figure him out now. That's what it's for. Like, literally, it's no pressure. You don't have to have any. It's like literally entry level, if we're gonna say. But if you're just curious and are like, I want to see a different type of Christian, like I want to see people outside of the church, because knowing God is not just like, hey, come to church with me. It really is sometimes just being kind and like saying hello. Like this, it doesn't have before you can even invite somebody to church with you, your character has to say that you represent Christ. So it just gives a chance for people to come on and see other people who are still trying to figure it out, but love God. Right. So that's that. There's like a saying that says, I'm just a beggar trying to show people where to find bread. And that's it.
I'm just a beggar trying to show people where to find bread. I'm going to use that. Is that all right if I use that?
It's Billy Graham. It's not me, so it's cool.
Oh, okay. No, I said thou shalt not steal, so I didn't want to,
Thou shalt repurpose.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you. This has been another episode of On the Top Coat, the show where we talk and just do nails, presented by Filed and Polished, the first luxury nail care service that is exclusive and affordable. I'm T. Davis. This has been a lovely Ashley Wayans. Can I say that now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And we will see you next episode. Peace.
And if they see some of my braids, we watch and we don't judge.
What's wrong with the braids?
Because I started it last night and I went to sleep. So did you see it?